Marc Wagner here, Dentist on Demand, Dental Bytes. It's midsummer. It's hot in the studio today. Do you care? Maybe not. I most certainly do. Great guest on the show tonight. A local doing lots of cool things here in BC. We've got an imaging center. We got orthodontic training. All sorts of fun things. I'm going to not ramble on and bring Dr. Michael Layton on the show. How are you doing today, sir?
You know what? I'm doing really good, and let's dispense with the sirs. I'm Michael. The kids call me Dr. Michael, so
all right. No sirs. So you're speaking to about kids. You're going camping this. You're taking off today. So Golden Ears.
Yeah.
Is it a first camping trip with the kids?
No. So this is kind of a payback. I took my girls over to Wanda Fuca on the west side of Vancouver Island.
Nice.
And so that was part of our youth camp we did with our church. And so the boys were like, hey, when's it's our turn? So I'm taking my two boys, 7 and 10. We're going to just do some fishing and play in the lake and, burn a marshmallow or two on our propane stove because, you can't have a fire these days.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So it's all but we've done some backcountry stuff in the past, but this is just in a car camping and just a chance to sleep on an air mattress and make memories with these my two little boys that
get a couple little mosquito bites. Yeah.
Yeah, my hygienist today was like, hey, it's going to be 10 degrees overnight. She looked it up on her phone. I'm like, yeah, it's a little chilly. It's a good thing I got good stuff.
Yeah.
Good camping supplies really makes it tolerable. So
that's awesome. So you're a busy guy. So 3 kids, yeah?
No, so I actually have 5 kids.
Oh boy.
Wow. So I have 2 girls, 15 and 12.
Yeah.
And then 2 boys, 10 and 7. And then we have a little 6-month-old that bonus baby that joined the club. So
wow, good
for
you.
We got a whole basketball team, man. We're ready to go.
How do you find the time? How do you find the time with all your projects you're working on?
Well, it's all about work-life balance, and I mentioned this earlier, but in 2015, I lost my father. He was 59 years old. He worked a lot. Actually, he was not as bad as some fathers, but he last couple of years of his life, I think he knew. So he started taking Wednesdays off, and he was not in dentistry; he was in engineering, and he'd take my mom to lunch, and they'd go do things, and really it was a cherished time. And so I just said, you know what, I'm not working Fridays anymore.
Yeah, good for you.
Everything changed, and I definitely adopt the mindset of retire as you go. I can always work a couple of years on the tail end, and just make time for those important things before they're gone.
Time, I've had loss too. Just time is so precious, and the fact that I think you have to mentally plan it, and do those trips and get out, because man, oh man, yeah, my kids are 9. I've got a 9-year-old girl and a 5-year-old boy, and God, just the time, you can see it in them, right? How time flies. It's
it doesn't have to be that grandiose. I mean, it can be just a quick overnight to Golden Ears. It doesn't have to be this big, all-inclusive vacation to some, hot destination. At the end of the day, they really just want you to be their baseball coach, or they want you to be involved in their lives.
Yeah, so engaged, right? Just engaged. Yeah, 100%. That's who cares? At the surface of the moon, as long as you're with them, right? So
for sure.
How have you set yourself up clinically then to maybe do the dentistry that you want to do? I know, you're a big proponent to your practice is orthodontics. We're talking about moving away from single unit. The imaging obviously helps out in that nature as well. Clinically, are you looking to do more, you're talking about the retiring and doing the things that you want to do? Are you setting yourself up in clinic too to do the dentistry that you want to do?
Well, I think for me, I enjoy clinical dentistry. I really, really do enjoy working and doing the clinical dentistry. However, I do recognize that your back is going to give out at some point in time. and the physical manual labor that, that we do, it really is just glorified shoveling snow. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And yes, you got to have all the knowledge base and things like that. But there's been a few things, key things in my practice that have really kind of shaped who I am. And I'm going to maybe just start kind of with a little bit of a story of how we ended up with Peninsula Dental Imaging. Um, for so as a fourth year dental student, I thought I wanted to be an orthodontist. However, I quickly realized that I had mentally circled Thursday afternoons with my oral surgery rotation. Like, I was looking forward to it. And so I was like, why in the world would I want to be an orthodontist if the thing that's kind of keeping me going through this last year of dental school is I got this cool oral surgery rotation
Mm-hmm.
that I get a chance to really do something, really, and so I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the surgical aspect. So one of my friends in dental school. Now, I went to the University of Washington in Seattle. I grew up in Canada. I'm Canadian. My father's American, so I'm also a U.S. citizen. Uh, one of my friends in dental school told me about a orthodontic course, and so I realized very quickly that I wanted to offer orthodontics at a very, very high level in general practice. Now, the key for me was I just don't want to be some, weekend course. Teach, teach me how to use the software, and just keep sending us cases, and we'll just keep sending you, ortho results. I really wanted to understand orthodontic principles. So I signed up for the very longest orthodontic non-university based program that I could possibly think of. And I settled on, with the help of this classmate of mine, progressive orthodontic seminars. Now they're out of Southern California, and I did a 2-year postgraduate training program. I also, since that time, did a 1-year implant postgraduate program, so an implant residency. And with those training very early on in my career, I had it beat into me that the key to basically a success is diagnosis. And
Right.
so very early on, I realized, man, I needed to have impeccable records. One, because if I ever had a problem, and, heaven forbid, and if and when I have to come before a review board, they're going to ask for my records. So, and I knew that standard was very, very high in my community. I practiced in South Surrey. There's a lot of dentists, a lot of orthodontists, a lot of surgeons, a lot of very, very capable individuals. And I would need, as a general dentist, would need to meet or exceed the standard of care as set by the specialty. So as a young dentist, I was eager to learn. I was really in need of some imaging. Now, I was an associate, and my principal doctor at the time had a pan machine, but didn't really see the value in investing in putting a Ceph arm on for ortho, didn't really see the value in investing in 3D imaging. And so I kind of was frustrated because, like, hey, I wanted to do this. So I made an arrangement with a local specialist who was also starting her clinic. And I said, hey, here's my credit card number. Anytime somebody comes in for a record, will you just bill my credit card that I send to you? And so for me, the conversation with patients was, hey, we got your records appointment. We're doing all your diagnosis. I've got everything here. There's one piece of information that I need. Here's a map laid out, little slip of paper. Go in there, tell them who you are, that you're with. We can even set up the appointment for you. Here's where you need to walk. There's where you turn left. Here's where you turn right. It's all paid for, done. And I got the images that I needed. So with Peninsula Dental Imaging, now we've kind of flipped that on its side, and we said, okay, let's be that imaging center for offices that want impeccable records. So Peninsula Dental Imaging was born. And this is a separate website, separate phone number. It is housed within our physical practice. And if you look on that website, if you scroll all the way down, we actually have a Matterport walkthrough of our physical space.
Oh, right
So they
on.
can see, the dentist can see like, hey, where are the patients going to, what is it going to experience? What are they going to do? And we've got a little video there as well. And then we've got, as we go all the way down, there's a little Matterport walkthrough to see our facility there. So it's Peninsula Dental Imaging, hosted by Peace Arch Dental.
Right on. Oh yeah, these are cool.
Yeah, so I mean, we've all seen this when we buy real estate. I thought, you know what? Why don't we just do something like that?
Yeah, this is so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so right in that left side, that left turn there. If you go back, that's where our 3D imaging center, as well as our set farm and everything else. You should be able to walk in there.
There we
You
go.
go.
Oh, I can go
Yeah.
right in there.
You
You
can
know,
go right in
this is like
Hey,
what
hey,
what
we
a
can take a
great.
pan on you right now, dude.
Let's do it. I need one actually.
Hey, you know what? I wouldn't put it past human ingenuity. I think that there will come a day when we've got some type of camera that we just can do it virtually. Who knows?
Well,
It's amazing.
Elon Musk is talking about Neuralink and controlling machines with your mind at this point. Like, I think the sky's the limit, right?
So
Very cool. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so we essentially the thing that we've really added to other dental practices is that you know nowadays people are coming out of school, and I don't know how many zeros they're in debt, but it's a lot more than even
Yeah.
when I
Right.
was
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so to throw a condominium into
No
your
kidding.
office that you've
Yeah.
already spent, to have the option of an imaging center really makes a lot of sense. Now, when I started, there was the option of mobile centers.
Yeah.
To me, it felt a little Mickey Mouse with the patients, and I wanted it to be very seamless with the patients.
Yeah.
So hence why I had we're going to do your records appointment. We're going to do all your imaging. We're going to take your alginates at the time. Nowadays we use digital impression. I have 2 prime scans. I'm in bed with Sirona, with Serac.
Yeah.
And however, I do all my orthodontic planning exported through an STL file into a open source Medit orthodontic
Yeah.
solutions.
You know what?
So
Their suite of software is it's pretty robust, isn't it? And
yeah,
their applications are all included in the price, aren't they?
well, and I'm not a Medit scanner guy, but if somebody didn't have a scanner, I mean,
Yeah.
I've been super happy with the Prime scan, but
Yeah.
we're getting off topic here a little bit, but essentially, we can be your orthodontic full service, or we can be the guy that does everything, the photos, the digital imaging, everything that they want without having that capital outlay. Or I can just take a cone beam for you, or I can just take a lateral ceph for you,
Yeah.
and really aid in diagnosis.
So there's also like the implementation of the AI diagnosis too. Do you have you implemented? I think it's called DigiCat as well, where now AI is kind of circling things for us at this point. Like, are you doing any reading of the images, or is that all up to the doctor that's referred them into the imaging center?
Yeah, so I wish I could just play about a 5-minute video for you, but I can maybe send it to you, and you put in the link in the description below. But
For sure. Yeah.
essentially, the short answer is yes. And with the progressive orthodontic simulations that we are now teaching with, it is AI. It's an auto trace ceph.
Awesome.
It's recognizing a digital model, what teeth they are, painting the teeth, what the actual that's all happening, and you're just editing things.
Yeah.
I just need to just verify, click the button, this is good to go. And now you're getting, rather than just like vomiting out an STL file to the lab and saying, make me some orthodontic aligners, and letting really the technician be the orthodontist that's making the decisions, you're actually creating step-by-step design. And then you have the option of either printing your own aligners giving very detailed instructions, not you typing them out, but the AI giving you very detailed instructions like, hey, I want this tooth to end up here,
Yeah.
but here's how I want it to end up there.
Yeah. We're mapping
And
things as we go. Yeah.
exactly.
Some teeth are moving before others, and yeah.
Well, and it's funny because the aligner companies do a really, really good job of making the setups look like teeth.
Yeah.
They even got the pink on there, but really you're seeing a 3D rendering of the aligner.
Right.
So sometimes it's helpful actually to turn off the pink
Yeah.
and actually remind yourself, hey, I'm actually, for those of us that are classically trained, and that's how I entered the world of orthodontics, is bands, brackets, and arch wires. Whereas nowadays, many people are entering the orthodontic world through the aligner, and it's like, hey, I'm into aligners. Now I want to, it's not quite working the way I want. I need a little more training,
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of the opposite, as I was classically trained and then got into aligners later on. So I'm kind of unique.
In clinic now, what percentage is clear aligner? What percentage is brackets?
So I would say that I do. I mean, oftentimes it's patient driven.
Sure.
However, I find that a lot of my cases and patients are accepting combination treatments. So, for example, a script like this: hey, we're going to treat you with aligners. However, in order to give you the most efficient and effective end result, you would benefit by some traditional orthodontics, brackets. These would only have to be on for a short period of time, usually no more than 4 to 6 months. Are you open to this type of combination treatment?
And yeah, like you're looking to just have something fixed to start the treatment off, like the bigger movements in the beginning and finessing things into place with clear aligner. How, like, what's
yeah? So sometimes it's brackets first, or sometimes it's one arch.
Sure.
I mean, we've all seen that class 2 div 2.
Yeah.
To have a path of insertion for an aligner, that ain't gonna happen. So
yeah, right. Yeah.
But you throw some brackets on, and even if you put the brackets on upside down in a round nai-tai wire, there's no deleterious effects, and you get that path of insertion that you want. So sometimes it's brackets first,
right,
and then other times we're doing things maybe aligners first, especially with some of our growing patients that we want to see some disclusion or some separation of the growing mandible relative to the growing maxilla, and then finishing later on with maybe some brackets, depending on where they are in their mixed dentition, permanent dentition phase. So,
gotcha.
So I would say that the short answer is it depends, but there's arguments for both.
Yeah, it's case by case. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I should come out to and have you heard of the AVO system, the LIPUS?
Yeah, so I got a little bit of your Tyler, your colleague, kind of let the cat out of the bag there a little bit.
Yeah, it's a cool device. It's really cool. There's all sorts of great implications, like the reduction and root resorption, but we can they're a sponsor of our show, so a little plug for them. So the imaging center, so it's in-house then.
Yeah, so it is essentially as involved or as uninvolved as you would like it as a referring doctor. So as I mentioned earlier, we are in South Surrey, and so somebody asked me one point in time, like, is this scalable? And I thought, well, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah,
because right now we are finding that, especially in the Lower Mainland, for me to drive to go get my son from his baseball camp in Walnut Grove is a 45-minute drive. Whereas years ago, it was like South Surrey to Walnut Grove. I could do that in like half the time. So
it's insane, like how long it takes to get through this city these days. Yeah.
So you are driven a little bit, because we do want to position ourselves as an imaging center that we can accommodate same day.
Yeah.
So you've got somebody that's like, hey, I'd like to do my ortho records, that you call us up, and we can fit an ortho record in our day, and treat people same day, and allow people to come, within a. But there is kind of a time frame for that. If we're getting a referral from Abbotsford,
Yeah.
then the patient is traveling, and we do, but we're getting a patient that's maybe taking a day off work, or taking some time off to be able to make it out, as opposed to somebody that's a couple streets away, and we can just accommodate them basically on the fly in between hygiene patients almost.
Yeah, right on. That's cool. Speaking to same day, are you milling, 3D printing, all that great stuff in practice?
Yeah, so we've been milling our own restoration since 2014. Started with the OmniCam. I know there's a lot of guys that were red cam and blue cam, and
Yep.
all the then E4D came along, and all the other ones that came along, and I jumped on board as soon as I saw there was no powder.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw the powder was gone, I was on board with that. I liked that idea. I did have some training on it as a fourth year dental student at University of Washington, and I've just seen, patients ask me, they go, "Wow, this is pretty high tech," and I'm like, "Actually, this technology has actually been around for about 30 years,
It has,
but
yeah,
it's
the CEREC, yeah, yeah.
the imaging capability. Get a
Yeah.
camera small enough and high powered enough has really come a long ways." And so we scan all our patients with our Prime scan in our new patient experiences, whether or not they're doing dentistry or not. It's there's no radiation, and it's a great record to have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then, obviously having that, it just gives you the opportunity. You're not like reappointing a patient for, simple stuff. They want bleaching trays, or they want whatever,
Well, even for this too,
you're
like
welcome.
how nice is it to have an image of the patient's mouth up on a screen that you can cruise through and
Totally.
take that patient along on the journey? Like how
Yeah.
and how important is that?
Well, and especially as we see more and more open source stuff go. I mean, it's like dentistry is almost turning into Wikipedia. Like you can just like search for something, and there you've got it, and you can figure it out on your own. And it's been interesting because I've seen that happen since first starting my progressive orthodontic training journey, and now teaching with them for, I don't do it a lot with the young family, but maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I'll go. I was just in Toronto, and my next assignment's in Southern California. But just seeing how we've been able to kind of come full circle as an industry, and yeah, you do need certain equipment, but once you've got that image, and once you've got that, where you go from there, there's really a path that you can cater to your own situation and what makes sense for you.
But it truly starts out off with the knowledge, doesn't it? Like the equipment it's secondary.
And it's funny because since COVID, education has dropped off the radar screen for a lot of dentists.
Really? Why is that? Because they're just been inundated with webinar and that. Like I'm curious. Let's get into this.
Well,
I'm really curious.
Yeah, so I think that if you look at like the numbers for like high level, full on, Dawson, Pankey, Spear, Coyce,
Yep.
Big thing, that their numbers are down.
Is that right?
And yeah, and I don't know if it's a function of interest rates. I know that orthodontic training is probably off about 30%. And so, part of that is people don't know what they don't know. They go do their weekend clear aligner course with whatever flavor that you want, and they start using that, and then all of a sudden they realize, man, it's a lot easier to start an aligner case than it is to finish it. So maybe I need to go get some more training, and so they're looking at different avenues. I'm not quite sure why. I just am kind of reading through the grapevine that right now it seems that education as a whole, in person, there's still some resistance there. There's still not quite the same.
Yeah, you're seeing kind of a mix bag when it comes to like the in-person versus the virtual. There's a
Yeah,
combination of both and things like that. I think there's just so much. It's hard to choose what to do. Is that maybe an
for
argument as
sure.
well? Like
For sure. Yeah.
it's like there's a CE war out there right now.
Perhaps there's, competition, and you think, well, competition would drive prices down, but there comes a point in time where it's like, you know what, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And it's almost if you want to be a top level, individual who's offering this service, like, almost go out and find the most expensive, most comprehensive thing you can do, and just jump in with both feet and don't look back.
Well, here's an argument for that, and like we deal in marketing strategy, and a huge piece to that is scope of practice. And if you don't have the education and the knowledge and know-how to take on those big cases, then you're going to have to open up that clinic for longer hours to get those single units, the hygiene. It's mission critical, I think.
And, there's nothing wrong with being a drill and fill, and pick your restorative material. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I
Yeah.
had a great mentor friend tell me once is that, there's a lot of different car dealerships in your community, and there's a lot of different cohorts of the population that place different value on transportation.
Yeah.
Well, the same is true with the value that people place on dentistry, and just because I drive a Datsun and my hygienist drives a Tesla doesn't mean I'm an idiot and she's I'm not a bad person because of that.
Yeah.
And she, and she's not a bad person because she drives a Tesla and is ruining the environment, except, whatever, but with the batteries and things, but we're just different people. And
Yeah.
so you get different types of practices in a community serving different cohorts of the population. I prefer to treat patients, and I've chosen to treat patients that place a high value on their dentistry. Now, some people have,
from
some
what
people
I've
have,
seen, as I've seen, like even in the veterans, like the guys that are enjoying their careers are just, they're learning more. They're investigating the new technology that keeps it just fresh, But
Yeah, I was talking with Tyler about this too, because he was talking about like breaking up people into like early stage, middle
yeah,
stage, and
that's
late
right.
stage career. And I said, you know what? I think age is sometimes it impedes our judgment a little bit. As I
Yeah,
go and teach for these orthodontic courses, I see young guys right out and girls right out of school. Actually, usually more girls than guys
yeah, yeah,
right out of school, very keen and very, very wanting to learn how to, treat orthodontics at the standard of care as set by the specialty in their area. And then I also, in the same classroom, I'll have somebody in their 60s, and you talk to them, and I'm like, this is exciting.
yeah,
Like, I'm not thinking of retiring. Like, I'm re-energized by
yeah,
this. Man, I wish I would have had this years previously, because, man, I am so sick, and I never want to see another putty mold in my entire life.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen that conversation happen a few
So,
times. Yeah,
it's really interesting. It when you put age there as a qualifier, I think we're actually missing the boat a little bit. And really, it boils down to personality,
sure.
as you said, scope of practice. What do I want for my life, and where is my work-life balance? And I mentioned earlier, I don't work Fridays. But part of that is that I don't want the income that working Fridays would generate for me.
Right.
Like I've chosen my income to be a little bit less right now so that I could experience life,
Yeah.
and being able to not it have to be all about like more, like to what end? Like if that's really my end goal, maybe a couple years on the tail end would be would be okay maybe when the kids are in their late 20s or something like that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. So.
That the more conversation, I think that also leads to burnout. Like, would you agree with that?
Well, for sure. So I got to tell you that if you were to plot, you know, burnout versus time, and you just took your year and you gave yourself like a, you know, when does burnout occur for me? I know that after about 3 weeks in the office, I need a break for something.
Yeah, right.
And so I'm trying to have like vacation, production, you go productive phase, mechanical phase, burnout phase. Well, let's just stay in the productive phase then.
Yeah.
Let's do 3 weeks, have a little vacation, 3 weeks, have a little vacation, 3 weeks, have a little vacation.
Yeah, everybody's
And
balanced and happier. Like patients get better quality of care, and that makes sense to me.
yeah, so we've structured our business such so that makes sense. So that the my team isn't like, oh crap, the doctor's taking another vacation again. No, it's work life balance, and I, I'm a firm believer that we work so we can live. We don't
Yes.
live so we can work.
Yeah.
And if we get to that side, I think we really can struggle to get out of it, thinking that more time at the office. And we don't get paid by the hour; we get paid by the procedure, by what we do.
Right.
And so it's not always about doing more and more hours. It's about how can I be, effective and efficient with the hours that I do have.
Yeah. That's genius. Yeah, for sure. Well, it's simple, but it's yeah. If you're wandering around with your chicken with a head cut off in clinic, then that's a problem, right? What to
Yeah.
do next.
Hey, if you're too busy and if you find your days are too busy, your fees are too low.
Yeah.
Go
There
ahead,
you go.
go ahead and raise your fees, and then all of a sudden, guess what? You'll be a little bit less busy in clinic, and you'll be a little bit more profitable. Everyone that doesn't like you will leave.
Yeah.
Everyone that doesn't like you will leave, and that's fine because you don't really like them either.
Yeah.
The people that like you as an individual will stay,
Yeah.
and you'll be more profitable at the end of the day.
I think that's the right route. Like, you're not fighting for the work that you're doing. Then, the folks that are in practice, they're more apt to, they have their trust instilled in you. You're talking to them about the right course of action for their oral health. They're trusting you to take them along on that journey. Like, that's more fulfilling than the latter, right? Rather than let's get volume through the door, and obviously that's important too. But
and there are some individuals that thrive on that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
nope.
Like,
Yep.
it's totally fine. Like, if you want to build a practice, you have the ability to build it however you would like, and if running around with your, we say running around like a chicken with your head cut off, but if you thrive on that, if you like
Sure.
that,
Yeah.
surround yourself with people that are like that and make it happen.
Yeah. No,
But
I
if
like
you
that
find
take on it.
that
Yeah.
if you find that that's not for you, then maybe make a few changes so that you do have something that you really are looking forward to going to on Monday after having a nice 3-day weekend with your kids at the lake and doing those things, as opposed to, oh crap, this guy's on the schedule again. All he's going to do is complain.
Right. Yeah.
The best thing I ever did once was ask my team, each one of you has to pick a patient in our practice that we write a letter to letting them know that we've are no longer we'll provide emergency care for everything the college requires us to do. But as soon as my team got to pick the three of those, the 3 or 4 individuals, and we wrote letters to them, boy, the office morale just went through the roof.
I bet.
We were this individual that was making it so hard on our team.
Was there champagne involved in this process?
Well, we don't do that every day. You don't.
No,
want to
I know. Yeah.
But if you find that, man, I'm feeling a little bit out of control here, like all over the place. more doesn't always necessarily mean better. Sometimes less means more efficient, more
Sure.
effective,
Yeah.
and a little bit more manageable.
And the folks, that require that extra tender love and care, we'll call it, they do take more time, right? And that time could be served in better, and like for your instance, in a better spot.
Yeah, and I think if you recognize that, uh, I'm not the dentist for everybody. I'd love to be the imaging center for everybody, but I'm not even the imaging center for everybody. There are going to be other individuals, other dentists who are like, no, I'll just do that. I'll just buy a condo and put it in my office. No problem. Yeah. Uh, uh, and once I realized, hey, I'm not the most, you know, I'm not the dentist for every single person, but for the people that do choose me as their dentist, then I'm going to treat them like gold. Like I'm just going to roll out the red carpet, and making sure that they're a part of our practice in every way. And there's a lot of things that we've done to try and implement that in our practice.
Yeah, I love it. I like that's a great outlook. I think that's you're valuing your service ultimately, and that's important. I think in your purpose and your passion in what you do too, right?
For sure.
Yeah. You were mentioning, that there's not a lot of collaboration in this town in terms of dentists talking to each other. I'll phrase it like this: what would you tell, a student coming out of school, getting into purchasing practices, and what in a mentor type position, what would you suggest? What would be setting them up for success?
Well, I've had a couple new doctors, not necessarily young doctors, but new doctors in my area that we've been able to connect because of our imaging center. I have zero interaction with their patients.
Yeah.
My team member basically interacts with their patient, and then all of the image transfer occurs. But you kind of get, you kind of hear who's coming, who's referring, wanting images, and so you reach out to them. And so I've been able to connect with some of these doctors that are utilizing our imaging services. And to be honest, that's been really rewarding.
Yeah.
I've just like even just going to lunch and just out of the blue calling up the dentist that's in the building next to you or down the street and just being like, hey, we're in the same community here. I'd love to get to know you better. I know it seems a little awkward initially, but everyone's got a lunch break. Or at least I hope they do. And if
Yeah.
not, you can do it afterwards
Yeah.
and go out for coffee or something and just be like, hey, I just wanted to connect with you. And that's been really rewarding to me. Just to, when I first moved here, nobody threw a party for me when I bought my practice.
Right.
I bought a dentist that was retiring. And I thought, you know what, this is too bad that we kind of are islands. Some of us are a little more reserved, and but we all went to dental school. We know we had the outgoing group, we had the life of the party guys who were like, holy cow, how is this person actually going to be a doctor one day? If they are a doctor, we still can't believe it.
Are you that guy?
And that same cohort of the population still exists in our communities. I feel like south of the border, maybe there's a little bit more. What I find is there's a little more like communication. I'm seeing that in some of the like CE courses and how you learn about CE in the States. It's often somebody that took the course and said, hey, you should check this out, classmate of mine. In Canada, maybe we're not as quick to refer somebody to be like, hey, I took this awesome 2-year orthodontic course. You should come check it out. And maybe we could do a little better job of letting people know about, like, the Progressive Medit simulations app, open source.
Yeah.
And not just having a monopoly on really something that is open source. It's kind of like, ooh, I know about Wikipedia, so I don't want to share it with anyone. It's kind of silly.
Yeah, in this day and age, like the information it should be shared and shared like at mass, right? I think, and having the outside perspective too, like on that regular, how's like what are your thoughts on this? I'm running into this. How what like
Totally.
the more minds working together, the better everybody is able to operate on the front line, and that's that, I think that goes across the board for our species.
Yeah,
Not
it's interesting that the college has tried to. Maybe it's not the college. Maybe it's the association has tried to set up mentor programs, and that's very. It's good. I'm glad they're doing it. It helps. I'm sure it helps the people that have gotten involved, but it's sometimes those organic relationships that I wasn't assigned to be your friend or wasn't assigned to be your mentor, but we met in a course, or I met you through the grapevine, or one of the sales reps told me to talk to you because you're doing some of the stuff that I'm trying to do, and just not being willing to be like, hey, we're both in dentistry. Yeah, sometimes the day sucks, but I had a really cool day today, and just having that interaction with people is can be very rewarding and very worthwhile from a professional point of view.
Yeah, then you're not on the island. Like that's a, it's tough for the soul to be in that position.
Yeah.
It's the top of the hour here. I know you got to go get your camping gear together. Just real quick, how do folks get in touch with you in regards to the imaging center, and also progressive orthodontics as well, if somebody's interested in finding more about that course?
Yeah, so the imaging center is peninsuladental.ca. You can go to that website there. There's a phone number that is dedicated just the imaging center phone line there. So that's really the best way to reach out to us. Progressive Orthodontic Seminars is a great company. It's small enough that they can cater it to a small group of students, and with digital learning now, they can actually. We had a group of classmates in Toronto recently, and they got together and said, "Hey, would you run a course for us?" And there's 3 levels. Basically, there's progressive aligners, there's selective ortho, and then there's our comprehensive ortho. So there's 3 kind of entry points or 3 levels of orthodontic training. Sometimes it progresses from the bottom to the top. Sometimes it's just, hey, I just want to learn the software. I just want the weekend course. I just want to be able to start implementing this in my practice and kind of easing into it. That's really the best thing to do. But you can reach out to Progressive Orthodontics through their website. And if you do have a group of individuals that would like to have something offered in your area, it doesn't take very many. I think the minimum for our Toronto group was 5 or 6, and I was able to go out there a couple times and do a hybrid model where we did some digital learning as well as some in-person learning. So that's been very rewarding. I like teaching. I was a teacher before getting into dentistry. It's what turns my crank. Seeing that light bulb go off in somebody's mind is really, really awesome experience for me. And so I look forward to that, and I enjoy helping my colleagues out with their imaging here in this area. So, Mark, thanks very much.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And hey, get out the off so you get those mosquitoes out of the way.
Thank you. You'll see me on Monday all ballooned up.
We'll get an after picture. You got like dots all over your body, but hey,
There
man,
you go.
that's good that you're going and making a point to go and hang out with your family. I think that's what are we all doing this for, So
There you go.
all right, thank you very much, and we'll chat soon.
Thanks. See ya. We're good. Yeah. And I hear it goes live pretty quick. Cool. Yeah, we'll tag it. We'll tag it and put it up for you.